John, you've had a bit of a week to take stock of a win over a fancy promotion team, a defeat to the league leaders as well. In this last kind of week or so, what have you perhaps learned about your team that maybe you didn't know before going into two pretty significant games?
I think we're improving. Um, Still areas where we need to do better, but I think we've seen an improvement on the Saturday and Tuesday, and hopefully that'll it shows encouraging signs. And against Oldham, hopefully we can reproduce the type of football that we played on Tuesday, but get the win.
Is it hard when you watch your team play so well in one game and then on another game where you play reasonably well but you don't get the same type of success? Is it hard then to resist the temptation to change too many things when you go into another fixture?
You're always looking at ways where you can try and improve things, but what you don't have to do, especially this time of the season, it's early days. Knee-jerk reactions where you're swapping and changing and you don't know what your best team is or your best system. So we're not far away. I think still compared with last year, I think we're a point better off than what we were last year. So it's we just need to start getting that consistency now, and we need back-to-back wins, and then hopefully that'll bring the confidence and people start to play better.
I did look at the stats, and you're right there. You are actually a point better off than where you were last year. But do you think that the way you ended last season prematurely has added that extra expectation now that people do think you should perhaps be doing better because that expectation was there at the end of last year?
Yeah, and that was always going to happen because if you're improving, then the expectations go up. You know, we're still realistic. We know where we are, but there's no reason why we can't be competing at the top of the table. As I say, there's no game that we've played in where you think we've been outplayed. We could say in every game we could have won, and I suppose every game we could have lost. So, but we just need to stamp authority on the game a little bit more, and then I think we'll start getting the results.
You mentioned earlier on about best teams, best formations, and all that. Through one reason or another, whether it be injuries or form or whatever, have you found that right mix yet? Do you think of what works best for the group that you have?
I know what works best, but it's players don't always play to the maximum. It's confidence is a big thing in football. If you're not playing particularly well, then you've got to give something to the team. And I can't say that as a team we've had everybody playing really well at the same time. There's been a little bit of inconsistency, but no, as I say, once they do, then we won't be far off.
What about some of the players who haven't been involved in recent weeks? Harry McCurdy, Manny, those type of players. David and Moo, I know you talked about on Tuesday after the game as well as being nearly there. Where are you up to in terms of integrating them back into the squad and hopefully the first team?
They're all back in training. Manny's a little bit behind the others, but as I say, David, Zach, and Harry are in contention now. For a place, if not starting, but can be considered for the bench.
And again, with having those options there, it does make it difficult, I suppose, to pick a team for the day because you've got players who want back in, you've got players who've played well, and that inconsistency, I imagine, does make it quite difficult then to use the resources you've got in the right way. But I suppose that's what you're paid to do because you're the manager.
Yeah, and what that does is put pressure on players to play well, because if they don't, then obviously there's players there more than capable of playing in their position. So hopefully the competition creates good performances from the people on the pitch.
You hear the phrase said sometimes that people work out how teams play. I know you've not talked about making drastic changes, but sometimes you have to try and mix it up a bit because you become, in the eyes of some other teams, well, we know how you play, so we're going to nullify your strengths? Do you have to then try and think twice about how you line up against games in particular sets of opposition?
Sometimes we talked about it from the very beginning, about getting a little bit more rotation and more movement, and that's what we've got to start doing. At the moment, that hasn't been the case, but you're always looking at ways where you can improve, and looking at the ways that teams are playing against us. Hopefully, as the season goes on, the players adapt to our team set up against us. But yeah, we're always working to try and improve.
I know you thought Theo Robinson did really well on Tuesday. Is he now the front runner, if you like, for that forward line spot? Because he's got the goals for you. He's linking up play well with the rest of the team. Has he now given you, if you like, a bit of a headache when it comes to picking, say, a Mark Cullen or a Tom Pope or a Devante who will want to play in that central role?
Again, it's up to the person who's got the shirt. I thought he played well I thought when he came on, he did well against Salford. I thought he did well the other night. So obviously he's in pole position, but as all the players know, as Theo knows, that you can't get, you can't expect to get your shirt every week. You've got to put in performances. So hopefully he'll put in a performance against Oldham and he'll keep the shirt. And it's just
Oldham are, sorry. Oldham are one of those teams that I think can either play really well or really badly, depending on how they turn up, and that inconsistency showing that it's perhaps not unique to you in this division. It affects a lot of teams, and it is someone who can just put together a bit of a run, which you can hopefully do, that then brings you success in much the same way as you had towards the end of last year.
Yeah, that's what obviously we're aiming for. You're right about Oldham; they are inconsistent so far, as they were last season. They were awkward to play against because I've watched them quite a few times, and they can tend to be a little bit lopsided in the way that they set up. So there are areas that we've got to try and exploit. But where you can exploit them in one area, they can exploit you because of the way that they play. So, but anybody we play, we always give them respect, and it'll be another tough game.
That'll do, John. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.